cash afternoon at the shop. The windscreen man here, take care of Wilson's piece of shit. You know, well, it's not, but it is at the moment. Oh, you're in trouble now, Wilson. I'm in charge of the video. So we got Blake from the windscreen man in his van. These boys will do anything and everything windscreens and auto glass all around Perth and are known to be somewhat experts on older cars.
I wouldn't go that far, but I'm a red hot crack.
Yeah, they do lots of... would you say that you've done your fair share of 70s model muscle cars?
One or two.
Yeah, done a couple then. Yeah,
One or two.
excellent. I've already warned him that it's coming out fucked too, so don't worry about it. Yep. That's it. You can just kick it and it comes out.
More or less, yeah.
Oh, sick. It's not my car. Kick the fuck out of it. Oh, literally that easy.
Easy as that.
Yeah, just leave that down there in front, so then I'll just grab a pinch of that number plate. Oh, does that say XC? Oh, but this is an XA. Wilson, you'll have to tell the people about why you have a number plate that says sick XC, but you own an XA ute now.
Okay, sick XC was my first car. It was a 77 XC Falcon ute, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. It was a 6-cylinder, yellow Terra head, yellow Terra roller rockers. This thing was worked so much. It made so much noise. I called it the time machine because it made a lot of noise, but it didn't really go anywhere. Of course, it weighed 3 tons and it made 42 horsepower. But sick XC was this car that I had all throughout my early trade. All of my friends knew me for having this car, and people knew the car, and they would go, "Oh, you're the guy that's your car. That's that matte black, death-proof looking thing." So that was my pride and joy. That thing was my baby. Long story short, I had this car for probably about 6 or 7 years, and then when I was in Brisbane, Martin and I went to go put a 351 in it. 351 FMX transmission. I had bought so much stuff for this conversion. Brand new Holly, like I probably spent about $10,000 on suspension, driveline, 9-inch diff, all this cool Gucci stuff. And Martin and I spent every night after work doing this conversion in the backyard. And the thing was, Martin would come over straight after work with coffees and jam donuts, and we'd just smash out. Work till about 10 p.m. at night. Probably get about an hour's worth of work done because we'd just be talking smack the rest of the time. It was one of those things. It was an awesome time, and I loved that car so much. I drove it everywhere. I drove it all around Victoria. I drove it up from Victoria to Brisbane. I road tripped in that thing so much, and I actually had 2 XCs. I was building up another XC with a 460 big block in it, and I ended up selling that. This is around the time when muscle cars weren't really going for too much. You could pick up an XC Falcon registered, driving around in decent condition for about 5 to 6 grand. So after we did the engine conversion, I was in the backyard, I was doing the timing on it, and it was running great. I was doing the B&M shifter, I was making up a bracket so the B&M shifter would shift in all the right positions, and I made it all work properly. And I'm like, yeah, it all works pretty well. On the jack stand, it was running through all the gears, and it was doing exactly what it needed to do. It revved really nicely, it sounded amazing. And as soon as I dropped it on the ground and drove it forward about 5 meters, it just went clack, 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 clack. And the piston hit the valve, cracked the head, and this is about 4 days before I moved from Brisbane to Townsville. I was getting this engine conversion done so I could drive to Townsville. And this happened after spending so long and so much money on the engine and the car. I just rolled it back and said, screw this. I shut the bonnet and I moved up to Townsville. Without the XC, I kept the XC there at my friend's house. And whilst I was in Townsville, I didn't really have that attachment to the car because I wasn't seeing it every day, and I made the decision to sell it. I sold it for nowhere near what it would fetch these days, and pretty much immediately after I'd sold it, I knew I'd regret it, and it was probably weeks after that I just started seeing the prices go up. Ever since then, the prices have not stopped going up. So the XC was my first car, my most loved car. It was the car that I did all the work to, I had all the fun, crazy adventures in. All my mates remember, and I got rid of it because I was pissed off that I'd cracked the head. Instead of just keeping it there and coming back, collecting it, taking it up to Townsville with me and working through it, I just said, screw this, and just sold it and got rid of it. And it's been my biggest regret. Ever since then, Martin has not stopped giving me shit for it.
Oh, but this is an XA. Wilson, you'll have to tell the people about why you have a number plate that says Sick XC, but you own an XA ute now. Tell the people, Wilson. They want to know. Oh, fuck yeah, fuck him. When you fuck up as badly as he does, you deserve to get charged for a fucking windscreen.
Every chance he gets is, when are you going to buy another car? Oh, I bet you regret selling that XC. So thanks for reminding Martin. Now everyone knows that I made the stupid error, and I pretty much just gave away two XC Falcons that were a huge part of my life. And that explains why I'm getting the XA. It explains why I've got the Landau front end for the XA, because I want to make it kind of look like the XC in the sense I had those blacked out headlights. But yeah, it was an awesome custom car that I created as a teenager in my early 20s, and it was the only one like it, and yeah, I got rid of it.
To go with trim and everything when it goes back in. You just said before you can get all the clips and everything from Rare Spares, but they'll have you. And aftermarket trims, I've heard you complain about them before.
Aftermarket trims, I don't think you need to get.
Oh, right. So if you're doing
it's like a clean-up job, you just clean up one you got.
Yep. And they can be a proper pain in the ass.
Yeah, just when you heat them up, when you polish them, they get a bit of heating to them.
They warp.
Because they're stainless mold that warp, and don't flow for the body, and it's just disaster zone.
Oh, so don't fucking polish the shit out of them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, sick.
Hand polish only.
Good enough.
Is the wall
There you go. That's a hot tip. This thing's still running.
Oh, right.
I'm just shooting the shit out of it. So how do you get it off? Same thing, you just sort of pluck it off the screen. Bit of heat. Yeah, right. There is a Milwaukee's heat gun floating around somewhere. You got stuff.
This is like pro tip number 2.
Is it? Hot tips for young players, if you will.
Pro tip number 2.
Oh, yes. That's what we want. Oh, yes. If you can't fix it with fire, then it's too fucked. Thanks for coming. Magic. The windscreen man for all your auto glass. All makes, all models, all areas. They don't fuck ass about. Well, they do, but it's a different story.
We have Martin over here performing a very dangerous stunt.
Look, I got my safety boots on, man. Don't worry about me. And there's a fucking safety strap on it. What are you worried about? People get their knickers in a twist, I tell you. I mean, more bloody chance of giving myself a wood splinter than fucking anything else going on.
Just spent, as you can see by all the little spot welds that I've had to dry up, however long it has taken me to get this out, and after years of repairs, some of the spot welds weren't the things holding it together. There was other welds
There was fiberglass inside. There was bog in. It was a fucking nightmare. But it's all out. However many pieces that need to be out. I've salvaged those in pretty good condition, so I can reuse those. But this is what it looks like. So over here, this is probably the worst part, as you can see. And that whole thing is separated there, so I think it's only held on by that bit there. So if I draw that out, this whole side will pretty much lift up. Also, this panel is almost completely rusted through here. So we're just going to cut that out. Oh.
Alright, so I'm just going to briefly go over how I've done the A-Pillar and how much of a shit job it is. It's been fun. I've loved every minute of this process. I've loved 98% of the process, basically because I'm learning so much. I've been a mechanic for 10 years now, but I've never really done too much in the way of bodywork. I've stayed away from that for good reason. But now I'm sort of trial by fire. I'm jumping in and just giving it a crack. So with the A-Pillar, the big thing about this is how many panels actually join together here. I mean, you've got this section that connects to your A-Pillar there. You've got this bit, that bloody, where did that go? There. This bit that goes there, and they overlap and they bloody butt in together, and kick panel that comes in. It's all going on. There's a lot going on. Getting these parts to replicate the original part so this all lines back up. I'm not gonna put the door back on and then find out it's totally out of alignment. Getting this all measured up has been probably 80% of the time, making sure everything's right, making sure the distance between these holes are the same. I've replaced this whole section here. So what you can see here, I basically cut from there up, and this whole side part is brand new. So, right, camera just ran out of battery. So, quick battery change. So this whole section here is all new steel. I've replaced this whole side section. New bit of steel there. That angle plate was literally just bog. It was bog and rust. This whole thing, this thing right there was just pure rust. I couldn't actually get over how much it had rusted through. This plate here is all completely new steel as well, obviously. Got the door backing plate there. This is pretty much all brand new. All the rust has been taken out. On the inside, it's all been done. I put some supporting plates and welded them on the inside just to make it a bit stronger. Oh, I've replaced, I'm not sure if you can see that. I've replaced this section here, part of the chassis. I had to cut that off. I had to cut this open entirely and get rid of all the rust inside there, all on the inside of the steel because it was rusting through on the bottom here, so I've replaced some parts there. Just pretty much completely changed that section. So yeah, a lot of measuring, some cutting, and a lot of swearing to make sure it all lines up. This all lines up perfectly to the way that it was before. The distances are the same, the offsets are the same, so I'm actually really happy. I'm super surprised how that turned out. I know that sounds bad to say. Honestly, first time attacking something like this and doing such a structural part of the car, holy shit. So, that's where I'm at with the A-Pillar. If I keep hitting this, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna hit it out of whack. So I'm gonna leave that until I connect it back up to this. Yeah, it's still good. So for the A-Pillar, all my footage of doing the A-Pillar was on my hard drive, which doesn't work anymore. Whilst literally in the middle of editing, all the media went offline and it couldn't locate the media. Hard drive just died. So maybe I'll try and repair it. But I think I might have some footage of A-Pillar repairs on the old phone. Okay, so I've made a patch panel for the chassis rail here. This thing is basically just a rust hole. Taking out all the rust inside the chassis rail here and just sort of cleaned it all up, used a rust converter on it, and it should be okay for now. If I was doing a full rebuild, I'd just take the whole sill off and do all that, but like I've said in the other videos, I just want to get this thing on the road and driving and take out all the major structural rust. So if rust comes back in a couple of years, I don't really mind too much. So here's the plate. I've pretty much got it to sit almost perfectly in there. Right, so real quickly before I go to work this morning, we're going to do a cut and butt on this panel right here. So this upright, this whole thing on the original A-Pillar was completely rusted out. So I've made this template up that completely mimics the old one. So what I'm going to do is I'm only going up to where this tape is, because anything above this tape, I'm cutting that off and we're redoing it completely. I'm going to tack every couple of centimeters. I'm going to get the cutting disc, go in at a 45, start cutting the metal below, go up, take out a few of these welds, push it in, line it up, and tack weld it there. Do that for the next slide. That's called a cut and butt. Afterwards, we're left with a piece that was cut at a bit of an odd angle, so it would have been almost fucking impossible to match those two pieces up to the exact curve. So as you're cutting at that 45, it's cutting away whatever is behind it, and it gives you pretty much a perfect join. Alright, so to finish off this part of the A-Pillar, I'm basically just going to bolt the door to the A-Pillar. I've latched it into its catch on the B-Pillar and located there, and now it's just the front part of it that needs to be located. So I'm going to bolt it to the A-Pillar because I have noticed that by welding along the A-Pillar, it has twisted it just a smidge. So by bolting it, it's going to bring it true a little bit, and that'll allow me just to weld this plate up here and get that secure so I can weld it to the rail. In theory this works. I've never done panel beating. I'm definitely not a panel beater, and to be honest, I don't even know many people that are panel beaters. So I've just been watching a few YouTube videos, and I've just maybe it'll work. So this has to come out a little bit because the bottom of the door has kicked out. So by pulling this out, given that within these holes there is movement for the door to move around, they're pretty much dead in the center of the holes that they can move around in. So if I can line it up in the dead center as best I can, then that allows me to move left or right of that when it's all welded up and I'm lining it up a little bit better. Once again, that's the theory. Hopefully this is the A-pillar done and I can just leave it behind me. That's a wrap for, I guess, part one of the A-pillar. So I just know that a part two is coming. So I've connected it to the pillar itself. It's somewhat stable. And now I've just got to put on the kick panel. And after the kick panel's done, then I can probably put the cowl back on. And once that plenum, that cowl goes back on, we are good to go. And then I can put new plenum cover on and start putting the interior back together, start doing sound deadening, start doing the fun stuff. It's taken me months because there's so much stuff that's been getting in the way, moving house, getting almost no time in the workshop to work on the Falcon, and a lot going on with work. So now I'm getting a lot more time on it. I'm gonna start pumping out videos weekly, hopefully. And from here, it should all be smooth sailing, because the worst has, actually, I haven't even touched the rear quarter panels. I'm just gonna say that this A-pillar was the worst, and just hope, just give me one win. Yeah, I'm gonna say that this A-pillar was probably the worst thing. But you'll probably notice throughout the episode, this went from being plasterboard to painted and frizzed up. This is the enginemaster.com.au wall of speed. This is where stickers from the greatest brands, the most powerful products on the planet, come together to form a piston. And that's where we will sacrifice destroyed car parts. You can see there's two compressor housings from two turbos that have been absolutely destroyed, thanks to center bearings wearing out. There's the old air cleaner off the Falcon. There's also a head gasket off a top fueler that was blown out. So that's where we'll be sacrificing destroyed car parts. So with a Maloo and a VL here, that wall should get populated pretty bloody quickly. But Engine Master really hooked me up. They sent me some sick shirts, as well as the guys from Rod Squad hooked me up with the stickers, stubby coolers, mugs, all the cool shit, because we know how much stickers matter. It's not how you stand by your car, it's not how you race your car, it's how you put the sticker on an angle in the top left corner of your rear windscreen that says the part that you bought 5 years ago. So that's it for this week. But join me next week, because it will be next week. I will be releasing a video next week when I delve into doing the kick panel, putting the kick panel back together. The A-pillar will be completed. Yeah, the A-pillar will be completed. And we will go from there. I'll probably also start doing some other shit. Might even roll it over to the hoist and show the underbody. And also, we'll be blanking out the engine bay. It'll be like shaving the engine bay, basically just making it smooth, as because the engine bay will be symmetrical. That's the vision that I have in my head. But once I shave the engine bay, smooth the engine bay out, I'm gonna paint that. That should be happening within weeks, not months. Thank you for watching this episode. Remember, like, subscribe, help the channel out. I might even do an episode showing the Maloo and the VLs. You see them in the background all the time, so we might as well see what they're all about. For now, they're just a part of the furniture car club. They ain't moving. They're better off used to sit your coffee on, or to sit your drink on, or to eat off of. Furniture car club, that's the thing. When your car sits for so long, it just becomes furniture. I know a lot of you can relate to that. Whatever, I'll see you next week.